Obama is against direct reparations for one reason. He doesn't ever want the victim card to be lost. In 2004, he wrote, "I fear that reparations would be an excuse for some to say we've paid our debt and then avoid the much harder work." What is the harder work? What is the harder work? You don't want the debt paid because you don't ever want the leverage gone. The debt can never be paid. Instead, he has a better idea. Universal health care. And that's just the beginning. That's only one piece. Universal health care. Let me ask you this. The Green Movement. How come his green jobs czar is a black nationalist? A communist black nationalist. A black nationalist, again, is the same kind of thinking of Jeremiah Wright. What does that have to do with green jobs? How was he a black nationalist, militant, become communist, anarchist, and then find the eco movement and then say, this is the job for me? Because the green jobs czar isn't concerned about the planet. He's concerned about reparations. He's concerned about leveling the playing field. Universal health care is the next step. It's a much less obvious route to reparations. And if you think that I am making this up or this is just some conspiracy theory, this is what I was reminded of yesterday when I was walking down the hall and I looked at Stu and I said, didn't we do a monologue on that? Didn't he say something during the election that we did a monologue on? And I said, look at this. This is what we found. Quote from Barack Obama. If we have a program, for example, he had rejected universal health care because, he had rejected reparations because reparations didn't go far enough. But if we have a program, for example, of universal health care that will disproportionately affect people of color because they are disproportionately uninsured, if we've got an agenda that says every child in America should be able to go to college regardless of income, that will disproportionately affect people of color because it is oftentimes our children who can't afford to go to college. Barack Obama is setting up universal health care, universal college, green jobs as stealth reparations. That way, the victim status is maintained. And he also brings back backdoor reparations. This would be crazy if he hadn't stated it himself. And if you couldn't pick up an organizational chart of the Democratic Health Plan and find next to the National Coordinator for Health the Office of Civil Rights and Office of Minority Health. I don't know if minorities are sicker than the rest or need different kind. Do they have different medicines for minorities? This wouldn't make sense. If in the health bill it didn't state that colleges that had a reputation and had an aggressive minority acceptance level in medical school, that they would have better access to money, more access to money, and a better partner. But don't worry. African Americans will get the reparations, and if you're Jewish or you're Mormon, we'll play Barbra Streisand or Donnie Marie for you this morning, and that should put a little salve on the old wounds. All right, I made a pretty hefty charge here a minute ago that I quoted Barack Obama saying that reparations don't go far enough. They need to be able to get into our schools. They need to be get into colleges and level the playing field and have free universal college. That way, it will disproportionately help blacks. He said that about health care and also about the green jobs. How do we let's see if we can see this now actually happening and being implemented without you really knowing what's going on. Let's look at our science update today. His new science czar, what is this guy's first name, Jones? Van Jones. Van Jones is a guy that was all caught up in the Rodney King trial, and he was actually arrested, went into jail in April, got out in August. So he was arrested for some pretty bad stuff, apparently. I mean, that's not a night in jail. He said, you know, I was just an angry guy when I went in, but when I came out, I was a radical communist. This isn't, 1968. This is in the 1990s. He was a radical communist. He hasn't shed that. He's still a radical. He's still a black nationalist. He's also now your green job czar. Why? How did he go from a guy who was riding the streets, going to jail, becoming a communist, to the green job czar? Well, because he said he found the eco movement and decided this is the best way to carry out his agenda. Okay. This is just a quote from one of his speeches. He says, I don't want to offend anybody here. I might be too radical for you. Are you with me? He asked. One woman called out, just being real. Quote, they can now put up these wind turbines, almost like a windmill, but this is not your mama's windmill. This is a big jet engine sitting up there and making power. Somebody's going to make $1 billion deploying that technology, GE. I think it should be you. They have this thing called solar panels. A solar panel is a piece of glass almost. Right now, wealthy people can put that on their homes, and it costs money to put it there. But once it's up, sunlight hits it and turns it into electricity and powers the house. So you're paying electricity bill, but somebody else is just kicking it. Somebody's going to make $1 million figuring out a way to get these solar panels made and deploy in our hoods. I think it should be you. After he was done, now, by the way, this quote comes not from some, radical right-wing hatchet piece. This is a piece in The New Yorker on Van Jones. After he was through, Jones made his way out of the nearly empty downtown. He says to the reporter, quote, that was my street rap. You get to hear my elite rap later on. So he's admitting that he's working the program. A few months ago, Jones has published a book that's out called The Green Collar Economy, How One Solution Can Fix Our Two Biggest Problems. In it, he argues the best way to fight both global warming and urban poverty is to create millions of green jobs. Listen carefully, please. Your country is being hijacked. They are using things like green jobs as a front. They are using healthcare as a front. In the context of Obama-style reparations, that's what they're doing. In it, he argues, in his book, The Green Collar Economy, he argues the best way to fight global warming and urban poverty is by creating millions of green jobs, weatherizing buildings, installing solar panels, and constructing mass transit systems. A percentage of these jobs, Jones is purposefully vague about how many, should go to the disadvantaged and the chronically unemployed. Chronically unemployed. Usually there's a reason you're chronically unemployed. He says in his book, quote, the green economy should not just be about reclaiming thrown away stuff. It should be about reclaiming thrown away communities. This is yet another community organizer. This is yet another black nationalist in the same way that Reverend Jeremiah Wright is a black nationalist. This is an acclaimed, self-acclaimed communist who has just written the book, How One Solution, Green-Collar Jobs, Can Fix Two Big Problems. That's what this is really all about. In America, you need to wake up because this country is being transformed. And if you don't think it's way beyond socialism. It is way beyond socialism. It is into black nationalism.